This conference will now be recorded.
Excellent. Thank you, Vic. Let's get started. A few housekeeping issues up front. I just want to assure everyone that we do record all of these public training events, and I'm just going to show you where to find them. So this is our homepage on our website. You just scroll down here, and you'll see at the very bottom, keystroke training videos. And then here is where we have all of our ACT videos, but for our specific product videos, you click here, and this would qualify, and we'll add this down to here. As you can see, we've got link to list, link to events, link to forms. So this is actually the very first product in the Linktivity family of products, Link2calendar. Okay.
Also, we will be monitoring the chat, so if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we will respond.
Excellent, thanks. So let's get started. Back in March of 2019, SwiftPage asked us to build a Calendly integration with ACT. We reviewed the service and quickly realized that adding a service cost on top of Calendly's already high rates of $8 to $12 per month per person wouldn't really be of strong appeal to the ACT market. So what we decided to do is just build a similar service from scratch that would work exclusively for ACT users. And at the time, that was called Book to Act. It wasn't an integration, but it was a freestanding calendar link service that worked with the ACT web API. Now, in the last 2 years, the user base has grown considerably for this, and many changes have been made to what is now known as Link2calendar. As I said at the beginning, it was known as Book to Act. And the API, thankfully, has improved significantly. In fact, when we recently managed to get the 64-bit version of API to run on the same system. And I know that's a little bit geeky, but what it means is that you can run a ton of API tools against one server without worrying about any kind of memory crash. So that's the net effect of it, the non-geeky thing that, since we deployed it in the last month, it hasn't crashed once. So we're pretty excited about that progress. And one of the features that we'll be debuting today is the new Teams feature. Okay, so what built Book to Act and then Link2calendar were mostly built around surfacing one person's calendar. And what we've done is respecting the fact that, like ourselves, we have support teams, we have sales teams, we have admin teams, that often when people call in or they're looking to book an appointment with someone, they don't really care who it is, okay, or who it's with. They just want the next available person. So what we did is we built the Teams feature, allowing them to see everyone's availability and book a time that's most convenient at the earliest opportunity with them, okay? So let's walk through the workflow. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to start it from the customer experience first. Okay, so basically, I'm going to go here. I'm going to show you how I personally surface my link. Okay, so down here, and I've got book a time with me. And what it's doing right now is it's using the ACT Web API to access my calendar. Okay, now the first thing is, because we've got customers from coast to coast, we wanted to pop up this little reminder to say, your current time zone is in Eastern Standard Time. Even though you could see it displayed here, what we found is, despite displaying it, people would often overlook it and book at a time that actually was different than what they expected. Okay, so we have that pop up, shows the date, shows the time, and here's the time zone. And what it's doing is it's displaying all my availability for today and tomorrow. Now I'm going to go through the settings and I'm going to show you some of the options for how you can control what gets displayed and for how long. But this is my selections. Now, one of the things that we can't control is that you can see here that I'm booked for this time slot, so it's showing me as available. Okay, but it's also showing all the times beforehand. We can't really control that. So, that's the only thing. If you allow the function to say display today or allow people to book appointments today, that is the one casualty, is that we'll show you available for time slots that have actually passed. But aside from that, you can see here that 2 p.m. was my last available time slot, and the next one is 4:30, because the calendar knows that, that's when I'll be next free. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you over here. This is my calendar that is on our cloud. So this is kind of remoted into our Azure cloud, so you can see my calendar. Here's the appointment for this event, and you can see tomorrow morning is relatively free. Okay, so now with that, you can see the mornings are relatively free. You can see my 3 p.m. and my 1 p.m. are not displaying as available. Okay, now putting myself in the position of my customer, they can review all my availability, and I have chosen to display my day in 30-minute increments. Okay, because most of the meeting requests I'm going to get are going to be phone calls, and I really don't want to commit to like an hour-long phone call for something that isn't scrubbed. I don't even know what it's about. Okay, so right now it's displaying it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say I'm going to book a appointment at 9 a.m. and you're going to see how fast this works. Okay, so here it is, 9 a.m. I click here. Now I'm going to use Chris Huffman. Okay, Chris Huffman from, I'm just going to say Keystroke Group, and I'm going to actually change the email, put chris.huffman at keystroke.ca, because we're actually going to see how it works. Okay, and the phone, I'll put in the phone I want to be called back at. The appointment type, I'm going to say call and conference. Now I've displayed 2, okay? Depending on, because ACT supports custom activities, you can have in as many as you like. Obviously, consider this very carefully about what options you want to allow people to book with you. Meetings obviously run some risks because you don't want people booking times with you and having you run all over town. Okay, so I'm going to select call, and I'm going to say Linktivity demo. And this is a test. Priority, I'm going to say medium. Now, at this point, I can either create the appointment or click on start over. I'm going to create the appointment.
And
now,
Ken, a question is the app checking only the ACT calendar or also the Outlook calendar?
It's only checking the ACT calendar. It's using the ACT web API as a connection point, which only will connect with ACT. And you're going to understand that better when we get into the settings. I just find it's a little bit more useful to bring people through the customer experience first before we get into the the actual setup. Okay, so you're going to see first what the customer experience is, and then you're going to see the configurations. Once you see all the ACT information relating to database and your account and all of that, you'll understand it's not going to be able to talk to anything other than ACT. Okay, so now this is the answer page. So let's observe what we've got here. We've got the graphic that I selected as being displayed. Also, we have got here, download the ICS file to your calendar. So this is the answer page that your customer is getting. Okay, and now they've set an appointment in your calendar, and now you want them to be able to set up on theirs. They click here. You can see the little ICS file here. Okay, I'll just drag this over. And now you can see organizer Ken at KQC. Here's the date, here's the time, phone call, accept. The moment you accept, this goes into your calendar. Okay, so now let's see what happened over in ACT. Okay, so ACT is here. Now I'm going to click on F5, and boom, you can see that the appointment has been set up instantly. That's the beauty of working with the web API, is the comm link is instant. There's no syncing or anything like that. It writes immediately to the database. Now let's see what also happens. Okay, so now it's great that you've got an appointment, but you also want to be notified of that too. So let's go over to my appointment, my emails, and you could say a new appointment has been scheduled for you on February 19th at 9 a.m. regarding Linktivity demo. This is a test, and here's all the contact details. Okay, so that has been instant. Now let's see what the customer gets, because what I did is I took that Chris Huffman email and I forwarded it off to my Gmail account. Okay, and now this is Chris Huffman's notice. So both people got the notice instantly, okay? And let me just close this. Okay, so both people got the customer's notice instantly. So all you've done is you've surfaced your availability. Customer clicked on it, they selected the first available time. You saw how easy it was to set up the, why do I want to meet with you? Select create, it goes directly into the Act calendar. Any chance that you missed that gets eliminated because you get emailed immediately. We set up the ICS so people can download it directly into their calendar. Okay, and then if that wasn't enough, we also email the customer an additional kind of confirmation that everything worked as they would expect. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That is the initial customer experience for for setting up an appointment. So it's pretty easy. There's no more email ping pong going back and forth, calls going back and forth trying to confirm the earliest mutually convenient time to meet. This is instant, okay? And what we like to describe it as really allowing people to convert your time into money and just post this up in the digital spaces that you manage. A lot of people put it like I did on the website under the contact us page or the about page. And see, will the appointment be added? So Charles just asked, will the appointment be added to the customer's Outlook calendar? Yes, that's what the ICS file will do. So the moment they download that and click on accept, it gets added to their Outlook calendar. Okay, so that's what we wanted. We didn't want people to create the create an appointment with you, have it go into your calendar, and have that kind of lack of symmetry where you've got it in their calendar and they don't have it in there. So this covers both off, both get notified, everything is simple. And now let's see how all of that works in the background. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to linktivity.net, the home of all of our Link2 products. Link2calendar, as you can see, kind of boldly out here front. We've got Link2events, Link2list, Link2forms, and the soon to be released Link2quotes. But let's go to our account, log in. Okay, now I didn't have to log in because I was already logged in. But the first thing I want to do is I want to click on the API. Okay, the Act API settings. Now I mentioned earlier that this can't connect to anyone's Outlook calendar other than the customer or prospect booking the appointment with you, because this is the connection settings. So you can see here, there's nothing here relating to Outlook. So here's our Act Web API. Please don't confuse this with your Act for Web or your Act Cloud address. This is a different thing. This is actually the Act Web API connection URL. Then the database name, my Act username, and the password. Okay, and when you're first setting this up, you click on save and then test the connections, and it will confirm up here whether or not it connected successfully. Okay, then let's go to the general settings. Now the general settings we've kept pretty general, okay, because we want, under the general settings, we want them to apply to many of the different applications within the Linktivity suite of products. The first one, remember I said it's good to know the, to see the ICS and everything to understand why we've got things in the settings. So the full name and the primary email address is precisely for the two applications, Link2calendar and Link2events, that actually use ICS files. Now you can't send an ICS file if you're not identifying who you are, because then the person that clicks on accept it would have an invitation with no one. So that's what that primary email address indicates, is that this is the person with whom you are having that meeting. Okay. And then here, select an image. This is one of our default overrides, so that if you don't select an image anywhere else, this will be inserted in as the kind of the default image unless you select a different one. Okay. And then the calendar settings, pretty standard, because we've got customers all over the world. For this, we want to make sure that they can stipulate what date format they want and what time zone that they're in. Okay. Now on the managed subscriptions fronts, this is a pretty straightforward thing. Now you're going to see up here, this relates to me owning the company, and also have NFRs, and then this indicates what resellers would see if they logged in, what their discount rate would be. But otherwise, you would see add a new subscription, go under Link2calendar, add a new subscription. Okay, now the first thing I should say, for anyone on this call that wants to set up a trial, you don't have to put in any credit card, buy anything, just set up the trial, going through what we said here, and I'll just show you how easy that is. okay, you just go into free trial and you go through setting this up. And then you log in and you don't have to pay anything. You've got 2 weeks of full functionality. It's time bombed, it's not throttled, so you'll have the full experience, okay? And then when you want to add, when you're satisfied that this is something that you like, you click on add new subscription and you just process it. Now it says PayPal, okay, but you don't need a PayPal account because it's got, PayPal is just the payment processor. Once you click on that, it will actually allow you to run it through as a guest. Okay, so you don't have to have a PayPal account, but for those that do, they can use it. That's preferred. We selected PayPal even though it costs a little bit more. We have to recognize that, you know, we're a Canadian company and most of our customers are in the United States and in Europe and in Australia. And if we use a Canadian payment provider, sometimes there's, you know, authentication issues. So this is an international provider and we don't have those issues. Okay, so enough on that. And then once you pay for it, then you'll end up with this, let's say here, where it says assign subscription, and then you click on assign, and you just type in the email address and click on assign, and boom, you're done. Now, the reason that I wanted to demonstrate that is that you can manage much more than your own. So let's say Charles asked a question, he's got a number of users. Let's say he wanted to set it up for a number of his employees. What he can do is he can buy, say, 5 or 6 subscriptions, okay, have them all set up a trial, and then he just enters in their email address. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually misspell my wife's email and watch what happens when I try to apply a subscription that's invalid. It recognizes that there isn't one, okay? But if I do this, spell it correctly, it will apply it right here, okay? Now keep in mind, as much as we want your business, do not buy the subscriptions before you need it, because when you buy them, they'll go into your inventory and the renewal date is fixed. So you can see here, I added this to my inventory and the expiry date is still January 12th, 2022. So if I had purchased it then I've basically wasted a month of subscription. So just buy it when you need it. And then what you can do is you can assign them all. And the beauty of, let's say for someone like Charles that applies them to 5 or 6 of employees, he is now managing the renewals of all of them. So he can just buy another, say, 5 seats a year from now, assign them, and no one ever has to see it. Their accounts, independent of his, will just keep working and they'll never understand why. Okay? So now let's go to Link2calendar.
Right before you go there, question. Yeah. Can the activity have SMS notification?
No, not at present. It's a good question, and we've had that question before. We just have never set it up for that functionality. So we've got email notifications to both parties. We've got ICS, writing directly to ACT. We do not have SMS. Not saying we're not going to, but you know, at this point, we're pretty happy with the investment we've put into it. You know, how many alerts people will get, but it's not a bad idea. Okay, now, so this is when going into the calendar settings. This is your magic link. Okay, now obviously you're not going to put that in, you know, your social media or your signature. You can use it as a hyperlink and say click here, like you saw on my contact us page. Okay, and then here is what you're going to put as the response to the answer page. Remember when I clicked on that and it gave me that little answer page with the ICS file? This is where you can add the text to that. Okay, and if I wanted to have an override image, okay, that worked just with that, then this is where I would select it. And I just click on here, okay, and I can go to whatever image I want, okay, and select it to apply there, okay? But I'm pretty happy with the initial one that I selected, so I'm gonna move on, okay? Now the calendar settings here, you can see, you know, some of these are gonna be pretty much what you expect. Now, when you saw me click on the link to calendar, you saw that pause. There was maybe a 5-second pause. The reason for that pause is it's actually connecting to the database. Okay, and the reason that it's connecting to the database is because when I click on here, it's actually showing me all the available custom activity types. So it's got to log into the database to know what kind of activity types I've got available. So don't be alarmed when you see that 5 to 10 second delay the moment you click on that link to calendar, because it's using the API to literally connect to your database, okay, to log in and connect. So As you can go through the settings, some of these are pretty self-evident. Start time, end time, 9 to 5. The 2 activity types I selected, as I said, is our call and then conference call. Multiple time slots. If I want to allow people to book more than one 30-minute slot, then this is where I would enable that option. Otherwise, and I believe it is enabled by default, okay? I believe it's enabled by default, but you'll find that out in your own trial, okay? And then this will allow people to book, say, an hour, 90 minutes. You can always reject it, okay? Obviously, anything going into your calendar can be deleted, but you know this is where you'd control it. Now, the required fields, you saw where I filled in as Chris Huffman. Now, this is where I've indicated which fields they have to tell me, okay? Name is obvious. If they're expecting me to phone, then I better make that a prerequisite. Description as well. Details I put as optional. Also company. I found that a lot of people, you know, especially in professional services, they may not actually have a company name. They are the company. So I decided to deselect that so that didn't trip up people that didn't have any formal branding, okay? And then the availability settings. What days of the week am I available? Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, standard. And here was that checkbox that I was telling you about. Allow meetings to be scheduled for the current date. Now, this is not a gimme. This is not something that you automatically assign, because a lot of people, you know, even though you get an email notice, let's say that you're involved in a project or you've got a lot of meetings, you still may miss a meeting that is booked for like 30 minutes to an hour from now. Okay, and you may completely miss a meeting. People have gone through all the steps thinking that they've confirmed an appointment with you, and you never saw it just because there just wasn't enough runway, you know, for you to get ready for it. Okay, or even be alerted to it because you were, you know, involved in something else. So just be very mindful that this is not a gimme. And then when you don't select that, you also don't have that worry about it displaying times that have already passed. Okay, so you know, decide whether or not for you that makes sense to you. Okay, I just want to make sure that people understood it just wasn't automatic. Now let's go to the appointment setting. Now here, as I said, here's the meeting duration. Now the buffer time creates a lot of confusion because a lot of people will think, well, if I've got 30-minute increments and I've got a 15-minute buffer, then I should be basically having my day divided up into 45-minute increments. That's not how it works. So the day would, in this case, be divided up into 30-minute increments, but what it will, the buffer time means it will not allow you to book a time that's less than 15 minutes away from another time that's committed in your calendar. So it's really the buffer from existing appointments, not from a buffer from any available 30-minute blocks. Okay, now here's another one. Allow number of months in the future. Now this was something I'm actually going to reduce this down to 3. And you know, this was something that we've, you know, as I said, we've had this in production for 2 years. We very quickly realized, you know, some of the configurable options that we had to implement, because we realized we don't want people booking appointments with us 6 months from now. You know, imagine being a financial planner, okay, and having someone in September book an appointment for you in February. You have no idea how you're going to be overwhelmed in February based on tax season. Or let's say someone books something for you in August. Do you really want to have to schedule around, schedule your vacation around something that someone booked, you know, 6 or 7 months in advance? So we wanted to make sure that you had the ability to control the window in which people can book appointments, okay? Now the rest are pretty standard. Activity alarm enabled, you want to get the alarms in act. What's the duration or lead time? I indicated 5 minutes. And the location, and again, we've talked several times about the you're getting the emails and the ICS files. Anytime you're dealing with an Outlook invite, you've got to stipulate what the location is, because that will be an error message that it prompts in its absence. So in this case, I've put in phone. Now, the next thing is the blacklist settings. Now, there are different kinds of blacklists. There are blacklists that you can book on a daily basis. Like I found, funny enough, that if I didn't put in my lunch from 12 to 1, before we built in this daily blacklist, the amount of people that would book appointments with me when I was trying to eat got pretty crazy. It was surprising I didn't lose more weight. But what I did was I set it up so that between 12 and 1 every single day, even if I didn't have an appointment, people couldn't book a time for that. Now then I set up our vacation we've got booked with my family in July and August, and then the Black Friday week, which actually I just created. I'm going to delete this time. So I created that during the last demo. And now let's see what our options are. So blacklist name, we're going to say is a test, okay? And if you select, there's no repetition, okay? Because you can see how often would you like the blacklist to repeat? Well, this is a one-off, so I can set a time and set the from and to date and time, okay? If it's daily, then you've got the lunchtime thing that I showed you. And let's say that there was a weekly blacklist. Let's say every Monday you came in late, or every Friday you left early. Then you can make sure, instead of kind of creating these false blocks in your calendar, you can actually create these times where you're indicated on Link2calendar as unavailable, okay? So I'm gonna actually just create a little one-off, and I'm going to say from March 1st to March 5th, I'm off, add, okay, save, okay. Now, let's go in real time here. Okay, and now you can see that I'm available as you would expect. I'm just going to click on refresh, so that's my appointment. And now let's go back. Where am I here? Okay, so let's go to, I'm going to go back to the About Us. Okay, and now I'm going to toggle forward. And you can see that I have no availability this week. Okay, that's how fast and easy the blacklists work. Okay. And then always remember to click on save, otherwise those settings won't stick. Okay, now I'm going to pause before we get into Teams. I'm going to see if there's any questions. Vic?
Oh, there's no more questions.
Okay, so as I mentioned, one of the things that we quickly realized is that, as much as this was useful, people work with other people. Okay, and I was talking to a financial planner just before this meeting, and she ran a team of 4 or 5 people, and it didn't really matter to her if a customer wanted to book an appointment, who it was with, and more importantly, it often didn't matter to the person on the outside, because they were just looking for some information, and we kind of assume that everyone's going to have their favorite people that they want to talk to, when in fact the reality is most people don't know who they're going to reach, especially when you're calling into a company like ours and you're looking for support, or you're looking for admin help, or you're looking for sales. People don't know who they're going to reach, so it's kind of presumptuous to think that there's going to be favorites. Okay, so what we did is we built a feature called Teams that allows people to combine a bunch of individual calendars into one calendar. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to say manage teams now, and I'm going to select the sales team. Click on edit team. Now here is the link. It creates a whole new link for the team. You have to give it a name, the sales team, and you can also give it a dedicated logo, okay, that will be displayed on their availability. Okay, now what the process is that every single one of these users has to have an individual account. Okay, so what it would normally follow, let's say that I'm the owner of the business, I want to set up everyone in sales. So I would get all my team members, in this case Sylvia, Paul, and James, to sign up for a trial. Okay, I would add them all to the team. Okay, and then I would then buy subscriptions for each one of them and apply it, and that way they don't have to do anything else. They're pretty much done with that. Okay, all they've got to do is set up their own daily parameters, just the kind of stuff I showed you, and that's it, and everything else will show up in their calendar. But let me show you what we can do, okay, to kind of enhance the appeal of how this gets displayed. Now the first thing is, you're going to, when you send out, you're going to click on here, add a member, and you're going to put in an email address of someone, like I said, that has at least a trial account. If they have a paid account, that's fine, but a trial account, and then you basically send out an invite, okay, for them, not an Outlook invite, but an invitation to join the team. And when they accept, their name will appear down here. Okay, until they accept it won't. Okay, so then the next thing, if you don't do anything, okay, I want to show you how important it is to complete the settings here. If you don't do anything, this is what it's going to look like when people tries to select something on a Teams calendar. You're going to have undefined, undefined, undefined everywhere, okay? So you're not done just by adding people. And just because they've completed everything on their side and their individual setup does not mean it's reflected in Teams, because how you want to present the team has nothing to do with their individual settings. So let's go through setting this up. So now what I've done here is I'm going to put in the display name for this particular user, their title, their contact phone number, and then their specific details. So let's say someone is calling in and they're interested in not just ACT, but maybe AMA, and they click on the sales calendar. They're going to see that James is an AMA specialist. Okay, and he's our top AMA salesperson, and they're going to say, okay, I didn't know who James was, but clearly he's got the expertise that I'm looking for. So I'm going to select him, and then I just to make it a little bit more personal, we put a picture there. I strongly recommend that if you are going to use Teams, make sure that all the pictures are cropped and displayed in a similar format with similar dimensions, either the same width and height, or in this case, circular. I'm going to show you why that's important when we go to the calendar. Okay, so now I'm going to click on cancel, and I go through each one of these, and that's pretty much set up. Now, let's say that I want to add that to my Contact Us page right here. Okay, so here's a Contact Us page. People click on About, they click on Contact Us, they scroll down. Here's available. Oh, look, please click a department below to book a time with the next available keystroke representative. So, hey, sales, I got a sales question. So let me click on this. Now, what you're going to see is going to seem exactly like what you saw before, like on the personal settings, but you're going to see now it's displaying sales. Okay, schedule a meeting with the sales team. And you're going to see the available. It looks exactly like it was before, but let's pick a time now and see what it looks like. Okay, Paul Calusi is available at this time. Let's go to, I picked 2:30, and now you can see James, Paul, and myself are available. We pick another time, and another time, and another time. Well, I guess Sylvia is really busy. Okay. And I can keep going through all the available time. I have a feeling Sylvia may have taken the day off. Okay, I can go through all the available time. Let's try here. Oh, there's Sylvia. Okay, so now you can see all the different people available. And now you can see the advantage of having the pictures cropped with consistent dimensions. It just displays better. So if you click on select here, then you're basically going to be presented with the exact same appointment feature that you saw when you selected one of individually with me. Okay, but here's where you see, okay, select an appointment. You've got Paul. What's his title? Sales rep. And he is a desktop specialist. If you click on here and you've got a telephony driver, then this will actually allow your computer to dial Paul directly. You click on here, it's going to launch your email client. And let's see there, Paul Calusi, and you can email him directly if you don't want to actually book an appointment with him. Okay. And then you can actually see he's a desktop specialist. You see the same thing with Sylvia. And you can see here that Sylvia is actually our French desktop sales specialist. And then you see here, you don't want to talk to this guy. He has no discernible skills whatsoever. Okay. So, the fact that I'm available is inconsequential. But that's how you're able to manage the availability of an entire team. Now, this seems, when we're kind of going through this, fairly straightforward, but there was just a ton of little fixes to make sure that this respected everyone's time zones, respected everyone's blacklist, respected everyone's hours of work and days of work. So this was no small undertaking to bring this, but we're extremely happy to provide this availability. So just imagine, even for your own internal cases, wouldn't it be nice to display everyone's availability at once and then allow them to book appointments, with whomever they wish or whomever is available at the first opportunity, and then having those appointments appear directly into ACT. Okay, so I've covered a lot of what I wanted to cover in terms of Link2calendar and the blacklist. So I see we've got a number of questions here. So let's see. So is the app checking only the calendars? It's not checking the Outlook calendar. I answered that. Will the appointment be added to the customer's Outlook calendar only through the ICS? And then Frank asked about the SMS notifications, and the answer was not at this time. Okay. Let's open it up. If you want to unmute people, we can open
All
it
right,
up.
I will unmute everybody now. So if you want to mute yourselves, go ahead, but everybody has the option to speak now if you have questions. Make sure you unmute yourself before you ask the question. That would probably help.
But I think you can realize that building this instead of an integration, because you imagine, like, let's say we built this integration, you might be saying, well, okay, it's, even if it's $5, it's going to be $5 on top of something else. So what we've done by building it from scratch, you can pay $5 and that's it. Okay, and $5 a month, and you've got an entire year. Okay, is there a knowledge base for Link2calendar? kb.actforwork.com is the keystroke knowledge base, and I believe we have another of Link2calendar articles. But what you're gonna, I want to go back here. Okay, is that when you go through all of this, we have inserted contextual help buttons that are relevant to every section that you're in, okay? So let's say we go here, help for this section, help for that section. So every single section that you're in, okay, it's giving you contextual help, okay? So we've tried to make this as straightforward for people as possible so they've got the relevant help when they need it. Even when you click on the home, when you're first logging in, okay, let's say you click on Link2calendar, you immediately get the full setup instruction. So I hope no one went to the trouble of having to write everything down, because here it is. You just click on this and this will show you all the initial setup workflows to get yourself set up. Okay, any more questions?
No, nothing new.
Okay, well, I have one little surprise for everyone. We debuted this yesterday. This is going to be a product that we're going to be soft launching for next week. And this is a product, this is a Windows product. And let me just bring it over here. This product is a little application called Quick Tasks for ACT. And its premise is actually fairly straightforward, because one of the things that we realized is that ACT users are by and large taskmasters. They love to enter in lots of tasks, fill up their calendar, just like we talked about. But the problem is that when you enter in an activity, it requires a lot of information. It requires the contact with whom you're having the appointment, what it's regarding, the time, the date, the duration, the regard, all of this extra information, including location. And the problem with that, even though it's thorough and even though you may need all of those details, often when you just want to bang out a bunch of to-dos, you don't need all of that information. And the reason that I know that is I'm an iPad or an iOS user, and I use the reminders feature a lot. So what I do is I'll type in a task, hit enter, go on to the next one. And if it needs any additional details, I've got the ability within the program to do it. Now, ACT tried to introduce something like that a few years ago, a program called Scratchpad, and it was back in like 2013. The problem is that it didn't support terminal services. It only worked with local versions of ACT. It had all kinds of little limitations, and because of that, even though it's still available, even though you get it every single time you install ACT Premium, it was never really adopted. And it was largely because of those limits. Now, what we've done is we've thought, okay, what if people wanted to work both inside and outside of ACT? So let's see, I want to create one or several tasks. So I'm going to say this is a demo, hit enter, and now I'm going to say demo related task number 1, demo related task number 2, and then we'll say demo related task number 3. Okay, now, as you can see, I'm going to say, even I want to make this first thing, I want this to be like a little project. Okay, so I'm going to call this demo and everything under it. So imagine that if I had to update my website, okay, and I had 5 or 6 things I had to touch. So I had to update the contact page, I had to update About Us, I had all these other little things I had to do. So what I can put in one initial task that says update website with a bunch of related tasks. But neither Scratchpad or Act itself has the ability to create phases and tasks or tasks and subtasks, but QuickTask does. So now I can just go here and I can immediately organize them all within one little parent activity. So now let's say that I want to manage them all here. Okay, I can go through and I can check them off as I go, clear the tasks or delete the tasks. I've even got the ability to, show all cleared tasks if I like. Okay, but let's say I clear this task. I'm actually going to say, select all of these, and now I want to send them to Act. Now you're probably wondering, how can it send to Act? Well, let me show you the options. Go here, Preference. So what I've done is I've set up my API. This looks familiar, right? This is exactly what we just showed you in Linktivity. You select the API, put in the API address, the database name, my credentials, save connection, test. Now, when you click on refresh users, it's actually going to pull in all of the users you've got in the database so that if you want to assign tasks to other people, you actually have that roster available to delegate to, okay? And the next part is the mail settings, because what's the point of assigning someone a task if you're going to delegate it if they never see it? Okay, so you want that email notification to go out. Okay, and then we've got several little default options here. So now I'm going to say, you know what, let's just send it to Act. And on the fly, I've got the option to, because if I don't say anything, my record is going to be the scheduled for. Okay, and there can only be one scheduled for, but the scheduled with can have multiple contacts. So I'm going to say, let's pick on poor Vic here. Okay, now it's clicked on both. And now if I don't set a time or a date, it's going to, in Act, reflect a timeless activity on the date of the transfer. Okay, and now they're gone. Now, do you notice that the parent one, the actual project name, didn't get transferred? And the reason it didn't get transferred is because there wasn't really a task assigned to that. The tasks were all subtasks. So sending over something that said update website that wasn't associated with anything wouldn't make any sense. So what we've done is we've created it where the parent doesn't doesn't get transferred, but all the subtasks do. So let's go over to this, and now we're going to click on tasks, and I'm going to select just today. Okay, so here's these related activities. Now see what it did? It actually put all of these subtasks with little curly brackets right in front of it. Okay, now why is that important? Watch what happens when you click on the regarding column header. Boom, all of them grouped together. Okay, so if you've got a bunch of tasks that are related to one project, you can now have the ability to tie them all together. Okay, so this, I can see some disturbing spelling, but now you can quickly say, I'm going to clear, let's see, I'm going to clear this task, and I'm going to clear that task. Okay, so I've cleared 2 out of the 3 of them. Now imagine that I have delegated all of those. Okay, I've delegated those tasks to other people, not my calendar anymore, right? I've delegated those, and I want to see if they're getting done. So I'm going to click on follow-ups, and I'm going to click on refresh data. So what it's doing now, okay, is it is immediately pulling down, okay, and I'm going to see if it, Okay, so I'll have to report that to the developer because it should only be displaying one of them. But what this will, I'm not sure why it maybe it was too fast, but it should show you only the one that wasn't cleared. Okay, now the reason that's important is, let's say that you're outside of ACT and you've delegated something, and how many people have the ability to delegate a bunch of tasks that don't really relate to them and know everything that they delegated and whether or not it was completed? Well, ACT will show you. So now you've got the ability to say, okay, Bob, you didn't do it. And you see, in this case, all of them are linked to me because I haven't delegated anything, right? So I could then say, Bob, I'm going to send you a little email reminder to make sure that gets done. Okay. Now, this is how the program is set up initially. Now, by the way, if you use this heavily and you get tons and tons of tasks in here, we just added this little search utility that allows you to filter by whatever is typed in here. So let's say I go here. I don't have anything actually. Okay, so let's say I had a bunch of activities here. I type in the text and it will filter in all of the activities that match that text. Okay, and this was something that was requested by a lot of our partners. So it was easy to build in. Now, what we're going to do, now this is going to be released on Monday, okay? And as I said, it's going to be soft launched. But let me tell you what we're doing between now and the official launch, which will be the following week at the beginning of March, okay? Let me just double share here. Yeah, so it'll be the beginning of March. So let's see what we're going to do. So what's going to happen is, for this product, for anyone that subscribes, gets 2 activations. So imagine you get one on your laptop, one in your desktop, one at home, one at the office, one on your computer, one on your assistant's or your spouse's computer, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to have the ability to sync them so that you've got the same list regardless of which computer it's installed on. Okay, so at the end, we'll have a little button up here. You click on sync and it goes through of our server and it will update both sides. Now, this will not be at that syncing service. You can buy this and it won't be at any additional cost. Okay, and I won't be coy. This subscription is $29.95 a year for 2 activations. So think about it, cost of a cup of coffee to be that much more efficient than you would otherwise be, because you can do all of this outside of ACT. You never have to log in to the Windows version of ACT or the web version of ACT. It also works for ACT SaaS, okay, on that new Swift page product, okay? But now, if you want to actually sync the two, what we're doing is, if you set up, and this is why it's relevant, if you set up a Linktivity account, any of the accounts, you will then have the credentials to sync through the Linktivity server, okay, to sync up your 2 quick tasks. Otherwise, you can run them as standalones, okay, where they're 2 siloed applications. But if you even have a single Link2calendar or Link2List, a $60 product, okay, that is by itself, of course, worth that price, then you get the additional benefit of being able to sync your activities through, sync your quick tasks through the Linktivity service at no additional cost. So we were thinking about, did we want to have 2 tiers of service? And we thought, you know what, all of the API information, all of the emails, all the My Records, all the user information is already in our Linktivity service when someone sets that up. Why not just let that be a free benefit of membership? So that's what we're doing. So you'll be able to set that up. Now, that's the first change that we're going to likely have that synchronizing feature done by Wednesday. The endpoints for the API have already been built. We're just building in the database connection points, and then that will be available. The one other thing, okay, that I'm really excited to demo to the team when it's done is we're going to have, you see it where it says quick tasks, then they have follow-ups, and then you're going to have a feature here called task lists, okay? And when you click on this, this is going to import in all the activities that you have in your calendar, okay? And you will be able to clear them outside of ACT. So think about that. You may have people that are in your organization that don't use ACT. Well, they can have this anywhere. They can have this on the computer with ACT. They can have a computer on their laptop, whichever, and they will be able to pull down all of their tasks view them, clear them, do whatever outside of Act and have it update without having to ever log into Act or the web or anything like that. So we're gonna have a lot of people, even internally, that are going to be working with this that will get notifications. Let's say they get a quick task notification by email. They'll just click on this and it will come right down into their quick tasks. So this will kind of be like a way of managing a lot of your activities outside of the Act interface with this little thing that then will sync up. Now we don't need to sync the task list because those come directly from Act, but the quick tasks are super cool because those will, let's say you've got your wife at home, she can punch in a bunch of tasks for you, and those will be displayed at your office, or vice versa. Or let's say myself, I'll have some work time in the morning, type up a bunch of tasks for myself, and instead of having to push them to Act, which because they may be personal, I don't want to share, the need to pick up milk or something like that. I get to the office, I click on refresh, and it automatically pulls everything in, and I've got all the tasks that I'd written for myself at home. Okay, so that's Quick Tasks for Act. We're really, really excited about this because we really think that this is going to really increase the productivity of a lot of our customers, and we think that they'll be really excited to see how well this works. Okay, so I'm going to pause since we're coming towards the top of the hour to see if there is any questions.
No more questions, Ken.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for the time. We'll send out notifications to all of our subscribers. Now, one thing I want to mention, okay, because Linktivity is an API product. Okay, so if you want to sync, your quick tasks through Linktivity, then you have to be a Act subscriber, and as that user has to be someone that's been assigned web API permission. So anything from a standard user to an administrator. A manager or administrator automatically has web API permissions, but if you're a standard user, you've got to assign the web API permissions after the fact, okay? And the reason I say this is in the setups, let's say that you're not a subscriber. Let's say you're an Act Pro user or you're a premium off-plan user. Then what you can do is you can say, instead of connecting by the API, I want to connect by the local SDK, which stands for Software Development Kit, which basically means you need Act installed on the same computer as you have, have quick tasks, and then you just browse to the pad file. Okay, and then you could connect that way, and that way you're not going through the API. Okay, now obviously if you're connecting directly with Act, then you don't have the API functionality to sync through Linktivity, but because you won't have a Linktivity account without API. But for people that just want to have that advanced functionality, okay, that I've demonstrated, then it's not limited just to subscribers. Okay, so with that final note, I'll let everyone get back to the day. Thank you very much. I hope this has found useful. We will send out a quick email to all the subscribers with the video tomorrow as it's posted on our site. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll let you get back to your day. Thank you very much.